snooker champion, John Higgins.
Hello, welcome to your Sunday lunchtime instalment of Snooker Live. We'll be back at tea time, but there is so much to talk about that I've dragged out of the press box a certain Clive Everton, ITV commentator, editor of Snooker Scene. Clive, before we talk about the matches that have been going on this morning, and if you've been watching on the BBC, you will have been very much entertained by both world-class encounters. But Barry Hawkins joined Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Selby in the quarterfinals yesterday. But what a funny old match between him and Ricky Walden. So topsy-turvy, and in that regard, just like their semi-final was here 12 months ago.
Well, yes, Hawkins was 9-5 down, 1-13-11, so he won 8 of the last 10 frames. He has been underestimated, but never by me, and he's one of the most solid players on the circuit. Recently, of course, he won the Players' Championship in Preston, so he's in good nick.
But it's such a strange turnaround. He won the first 3, then Ricky goes 9-5 ahead, and then, as you calculated just before we went on air, Barry wins 8 of the last 10 frames. It's such a strange one psychologically for both players to contend with.
Well, he built up some momentum as he went, and I think that Walden would have been thinking, oh dear, I've been a long way in front, it'd be terrible if I lost now. And once you get that kind of thought in your mind, it's very difficult to get rid of it.
Okay, well, we managed to catch up with Barry after his various press conferences yesterday, so these were his thoughts after beating Ricky and booking his place in another quarter-final here at the Crucible.
Well, Barry, what a funny match. You're 3-0 up to start with, then you're 9-5 down, and eventually, just like you did in the semis last year, you got over the line.
Yeah, I don't know how I won that game. I struggled from start to finish, really. Played a bit better towards the very end, but the cue ball was losing the cue ball all the time and running out of position and kept making it difficult for myself. So something I've got to work on and concentrate on that in my next game. But yeah, I can't believe I just dug deep there, to be honest with you, and managed to scrape the winner in the end.
Was there any psychological comfort from the fact that you did this in exactly the same manner 12 months ago? Was that in the back of your mind when you were 9-5 down and you were struggling?
Yeah, definitely. 9-5 down, I was all over the place, and Ricky could see that. And I just said to myself, right, just one last push, try and win these next 2 frames, get yourself in the match. And I managed to do that. And to be honest with you, I felt like I'd won the session, to be honest. I was happy with 5-3 losing the session, the way I was playing. So 9-7, it'll probably give him something to think about overnight. And it was important for me to win that little mini session 3-1 when I first come out today. So I managed to do that. And at 10-0, I thought, obviously it's anyone's then, but I sensed that if I could play a little bit better, then the game was there to be won, really.
And how much confidence did you bring to the Crucible off the back of your great win at the Players' Championship? Yeah,
no, I mean, obviously that's the last tournament I played in, and I won it. So you can't get no better preparation than that for this tournament. Coming to here knowing that you won the last tournament. So yeah, it's ideal. That's the reason why I decided not to enter China, or decided to pull out of China, because just thought it'd be better preparation for this. Something I don't like doing, really. I've never done it before, is pulling out of a tournament, but I thought this is the big one, really, and I had to do what was best for me. So yeah, no, I was confident coming here, and yeah, no, I've still not beat yet. So yeah, I'll try and keep it going.
And your quarter of the draw could have seen you up against Ding Junhui in the last 8, but instead, because of the giant-killing episode from Michael Wasley, it will either be Michael or Dominic Dale, and whichever of those 2 win the match, you're going to be the favourite to get through to a second successive semi-final.
Yeah, that'd be great if I got through, obviously, but you can't take anyone lightly. Michael had a great win against Ding, especially being his first time here. And he played pretty decent by all accounts. So, yeah, no, he's going to be free-flowing against Dominic. I mean, Dominic's got a tough game, obviously, on his hands, because Michael, I feel like he's got nothing to lose. He's going to go out there and enjoy it, and you can be dangerous when you do that. So, yeah, I'll be watching, obviously, see how he gets on, because he's on the same stable as me, on Q Promotions. So, I'll be well watching it with interest, and yeah, no, it'll be a tough game, whoever I got, but I'm just delighted to still be in the quarterfinals, really, and with a chance to go further.
Well done today. You had to work hard, but you got it done.
Very hard. Cheers.
Well, he's such a nice guy, Barry Hawkins. You can't help but wish him well. Let's talk about who he might face then. Dominic Dale and Michael Wasley came out last night for their first session. Wasley, a lot of pressure, a lot of attention on him after that amazing victory over Ding in the first round. What do you think the reason was behind him trailing Dominic 7-1 when they resumed later this afternoon? Was it Dominic's experience, or did Wazza leave it all on the table when he knocked out Ding?
Well, Wasley's problem was to come down from the euphoria of beating Ding and then get up again in time for his next match. And all the evidence was he didn't quite manage it. And let's not underestimate how good a player Dominic Dale is. He's only just outside the top 16, although you could say that for about the last decade. But he's very experienced, and I wasn't in the least surprised that he should take such a commanding lead.
Do you think sometimes people underestimate the talent that Dominic's got, because he is a bit of a character? He's got the funny shoes, which apparently he has assured us he's going to be wearing when he comes back out for the second session of that match this afternoon, which will be live on the BBC at 2:30. He's got the fancy shoes, he's a trained singer. Do you think sometimes people get distracted away from the ability he's got with all the sort of peripheral fun and games that come with him?
Well, they could be, but Dominic's not afraid to win. I can tell you that. Earlier in the season, we had the one-frame shootout in Blackpool. Now, that's not what the purists would call proper snooker, but you've still got to win it. And he loves an audience. He loves being the centre of attention. And, of course, he helped himself at Blackpool with that peroxide hair. and of course, I referred to him as snooker's favourite bottle blonde, but he found another way to make himself the centre of attention, with the shoes. But I think that his play is good enough to make him the centre of attention. He's certainly playing okay at the moment.
What's Michael got to do coming out ahead of that second session? I mean, presumably he's basically just got to come out thinking, look, I've got nothing to lose. I've already done brilliantly knocking out Ding. I've got to forget about the fact that I'm trailing 7-1.
Yeah, stick to his game, stick to his method, try and win the first half session 3-1 if you can. It's a bit unrealistic to hope for 4-0. Just play every ball on its merits. It seems boring, but that's all he can do.
Okay, so Dominic and Michael resume this afternoon at 2:30. One other match which finished yesterday was absolutely fascinating, was Alan the Angles McManus against Ken Doherty. If you've been following the snooker since we've been here for this year's World Championship, you'll be aware they're the two oldest guys left in the championship. McManus 43, Ken 44. Both did brilliantly to come through to the second round. Ken resumed 10-5 down yesterday, at one stage 10-3, got it back to 11-8, and then McManus just got over the line in the end. But all credit to the Darling of Dublin for managing to turn round what looked as though it could have been at one stage quite a hefty defeat.
Well, there were times in that match when Ken was really shocking for a player of his ability. Highest break in the first session, 26. And then in the second session, the early part of it, his highest break was still only 26, until out of nowhere he makes a 93 clearance and a credible maximum attempt, 88, 11 reds, 11 blacks, but he'd left himself too much to do.
So what a story then for Alan the Angles McManus. He plays Mark Selby, and I guess a little bit like Michael Wasley heading into the start of that match against Dominic. He's almost got nothing to lose and nothing to prove. He's a great champion from years gone by, and he's rolled back the clock brilliantly just to get to the quarterfinals.
Well, Alan McManus is a very professional, very sober type. He will go into his match, he'll prepare for his match against Selby in exactly the same way that he prepares for any other match. He knows that he can win. On form, Selby should win, but he's certainly not bound to.
Okay, well, we managed to grab a word or two with Alan the Angles after that victory over Ken last night. Here are his thoughts.
Congratulations into the quarterfinals here at the Crucible for the first time in 9 years. How does it feel?
Well, it feels good right now. I must admit, although it was a tough day, having a big lead, and Ken came back at me and got himself involved in the match, and it was really my match to lose, probably halfway through, and the jitters started coming in, a little bit out there,
which is only natural. We've seen plenty of matches turn round from the positions that I was in, and but right now it feels good. And as I say, it's been a long day, but I'm looking forward to now playing Mark Selby in a big quarter-final here. It's been a while, as you say.
Is it exciting for you to be doing this well and have got this far?
Yes, I mean, I didn't expect. You hope you come here and win matches. I didn't expect, although I expect a decent performance from myself, as all the players do. And my performances haven't been great, but they've been sort of decent. So, hopefully I can improve on it a little bit. I've got a couple of days, I think, before playing Mark, where I can get on the practice table and iron a few things out, and hopefully, give him another good game. Yeah.
Mark Selby next. What kind of match do you think that's going to be?
Well, I'm hoping it's going to be a nice open match. For some reason, Mark Selby seems to get some negative comments, could I say, about the type of game he plays, and I find that astonishing. I think he's a really attacking player. That's just a personal view. I'm a huge fan of Mark Selby, the way he plays the game. He's a great champion. He's won ranking events. He's won plenty of big invitations, and he's a as I said earlier to the press guys, he's a premier player, top 4 player in our game. So I know how big the task is going to be, but sometimes the underdog, can maybe put in a good performance, and I'm hoping that's going to be the case. Obviously, I'll be a big underdog, but I've got some experience here at the Crucible, and I'm not frightened. That's one thing. I've not got any reason to be frightened. I'm just happy if I can put in a good performance and give them a game.
Are you going to stick with the trousers?
Yeah, I'm going to have to.
What's he saying about the trousers?
Mainly because it's all I've got with me, so I'll give them another outing and see where it takes me.
Thanks, Alan. Well done.
Ivan Hershevitz with the interview there, and the headline is that McManus will stick with the tartan trews for that quarter-final against Mark Selby, and hey, why not? It's working for him thus far. So Alan is safely through to the quarter-finals. More chat with Clive in just a moment, but first of all, it's competition time, and there's a very, very good prize if you can spot where a certain ball is heading. Well, one of John Virgo's famous catchphrases. He's used it this morning already in the opening session of the match between Sean Murphy and Marco Fu. So if you do spot the cue ball on this next item, get in touch with us via Twitter. It's at World Snooker 1. And if you want it to be in relation to the competition, add hashtag Where's the Cue Ball Going. If you do spot the cue ball and you successfully win through Twitter, you will be joining us for semi-final Friday, you and a mate, courtesy of World Snooker, free tickets all day. So we embarked on a backstage tour yesterday just to take you to a few little places that perhaps you haven't seen before if you're a front of house spectator here at the Crucible. So don't forget, have a look and see if you can spot where the cue ball is. Well, this is where the matches finish for the players because their responsibilities end with their post-match press conference. It's usually a lot smaller than people think it is. Here's the press room, the great and the good of the national and international media. We've got the Chinese journalists there who were devastated, of course, when Ding went out, but they're still here. Fantastic. We've got 5 Live in the corner with George Riley, Jamie Broughton doing the World Service, broadcasting to millions because, of course, so many people now watch the sport and take an interest from across the globe with tournaments in India, tournaments in Latvia, the whole works. Here's a face that you'll be familiar with, the editor of Snooker Scene, former BBC commentator, Clive Everton. Clive, we've just, as we're recording this now, we've just seen an enthralling end to the Ronnie O'Sullivan match against Joe Perry. What a display of composure under immense pressure.
It was. I think the most impressive thing about O'Sullivan was that he was prepared to grind it out when he wasn't able to play as he likes to play. For the first 2/3 of the match practically, he could hardly pot a long ball. And although he never lost his capacity to score well once he was in, his opponent, Joe Perry, was playing very well himself. So there was a real prospect of an upset right up until the time that Perry led 11-9, and then came, of course, O'Sullivan's cracking finish.
Clive, we could talk to you all day. Just one other player I'd like to mention before we continue the tour. Neil Robertson, what an emphatic first round victory, and what an amazing achievement it would be if he could move from 97 centuries and do the ton of tons.
Well, I guess one should say that he'll never have a better chance than this season, because there are so many more tournaments than there were for the former greats of the game. But 97 in a season is still exceptional, and of course he's still in the tournament with, he hopes, several long matches to come.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Clive, for now. See, you never know who you're going to bump into in the press room. So, once the players have wandered through the press room and done their interview, they're free to go. There's the canteen. If you can just focus in there on the guys in black, it's the cameramen just taking a break. We won't interview them because they spend enough time out on the arena floor, but they have a well-deserved break there. Tournament office, the door's shut. I think they're counting some money. And then in here, we might be able to grab a word or two with the tournament director. Here he is, Mike Ganley. Now, this guy pretends to be a bit miserable sometimes, but he is so passionate about his snooker. He is my boss, and he's actually quite a nice bloke deep down. Mike, how have you enjoyed the tournament so far? I mean, we've just had that amazing finish, Ronnie against Joe. We've had debutants like Michael Wasley producing an amazing upset against Ding Junhui. There have been some cracking matches.
Yeah, and it's nice to see you don't talk as much as usual, Rob, so I mean, it's nice to cut the words down a little bit. The intros are going quite well when you're not doing them. But no, it's been an interesting tournament so far. I mean, I think Ronnie and Joe today was a big turnaround, really. Ronnie didn't look on top form, but got in the game, got himself back level, and then went on to win.
Tonight we've got a scenario where all four players have come through qualifying. You've got the last session of McManus against Doherty, and as we record that, Alan's leading 10-5, and then we've got the first session of Michael Wasley's match against Dominic Dale. That's a great piece of motivation, I guess, for the younger players coming through, that you can get to the business end of these great tournaments if you come through qualifying.
Yeah, I think the standard of the game now is so high that all the players now starting in round one for most of the tournaments, not the World Championships, obviously top 16 seeded through, but the guys are coming from round one. Wasley's played 4 games to get here, so he's done really well. And to turn Ding over in the way he did, that was a real big achievement. And must give him a lot of confidence going into the next match, because obviously he probably didn't think he was going to get there. I mean, Dominic, as he said yesterday, I'll be looking at it, he's had a result in the fact that Michael's come through instead of Ding, but Michael's proved on the big stage he can play.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Thanks, Mike. He's quite busy, so we'll get out of the way whilst we've survived. This is the Champions Board. Kind of does it exactly what it says on the tin. This is where we try and grab the players when I do the live BBC interviews, because it's quite nice to get their initial reaction immediately they've stepped off set, before they've had a chance to sort of compose themselves. Sometimes that initial raw reaction is the best one. Well, it's a catalogue of stars, not just the names here, but you've got the pictures as well. Alex Higgins 2 times, Steve Davis 6. And then this is the walk, as it would be from the player's perspective. Amazing when you think how many global legends of this sport have stepped through. And then this is the last couple of seconds that the players have to compose themselves. This curtain's normally up, of course, before I finish my cheesy lines. And they come out here onto the hallowed carpet, if you like, and this is where the walking stops, the talking stops, and the play begins. It's an amazing atmosphere. The whole way this arena is laid out, the fact that the floor is a couple of feet below the first layer of spectators, the fact that the fans sit so close to the players. I mean, if you come over here, the fans sitting in A22 is so close when it's a two-table setup. They could actually lean over and touch the player on the shoulder. It's more of a coliseum than an arena. It's a very, very special place to work. It's a special place to MC. So what it must be like to play here, well, only the very best get to find that out. So don't forget, if you did spot the cue ball, send us a tweet at WorldSnooker1, hashtag where's the cue ball going. Just before we talk about Neil Robertson and Mark Allen and Sean Murphy against Marco Fu, the matches that have been going on live this morning on the BBC, Clive, just a word about the layout of the arena at the Crucible. It really does seem as though it's tailor-made to induce and enhance drama, the way the layout envelops the players.
It's very intimate. In fact, there's only just room by a few inches to get 2 tables in with proper room round. And it's fair to say that there's no atmosphere like it, not just because of the arena, but because of what's at stake and all the memories associated with it.
Well, speaking of what's at stake, I mean, an incredible lineup this morning, as we've just said. Robertson, Murphy, Allen, an unbelievable array of stars there. Marco Fu, all of them multiple ranking event winners, all of them capable of lifting this trophy. Robertson and Murphy have. Almost a shame that a quartet of talent like that have to meet this early.
Well, this shows just how high the standard is in snooker these days. It's really not Ronnie O'Sullivan and the rest. There are a lot of really tip-top players.
So, both matches are currently 4-all. They've finished for the morning. They will resume for their second session tonight at 7 o'clock. You've been keeping a close eye on Robertson against Mark Allen. It seemed to be being played in a great spirit. A little bit of banter going backwards and forwards between the Northern Islander and the Australian. And I guess we might have expected it to be tight, that one, in the early stages.
Well, great spirit and great snooker as well. There's never been more than a frame in it. And it looks as if the way they're playing, it could go pretty much the whole distance.
Right, we were talking, I grabbed you yesterday talking about Neil Robertson being on 97 centuries. He had 100 on the nose in that first session of the match against Mark, so he's now on 98. At what stage does the lure of this magic milestone start to become a distraction?
Well, I think it's lodged in the back of his mind even now, and it's probably better if it wasn't. There's a tendency for it to be slightly distracting. He's very professional. He's overcome it so far, and I'm sure he won't sacrifice a frame in this match or any other match in this championship just to chase 100. But I think he'll be relieved, and it'll be just one thing off his mind if he can make the 100 hundreds.
Do you think he's going to do it?
Yes, probably.
He kind of sat on the fence there, but kind of didn't. And just before we wrap things up, Clive, Sean Murphy and Marco Fu, two brilliant players. Sean works so hard on and off the table. Marco's come right back into form. Again, there's nothing to separate them. Almost brings back memories of their UK Championship final in 2008, which went all the way to a decider. And Murphy even, benefiting from a fluked pink to get him across the line to seal the UK title. Again, we almost should have known that one was destined to be close.
Well, the UK final you're talking about was not of the very highest standard, but this is very high standard. And again, you can see it just about going the distance.
Any inclination as to which way you think that's going to go? It's such a tough position to put you in, but you've seen a lot of early matches at 4-all in the past. So have you got an inclination there?
51-49 for Murphy.
That is about as close as you can get to sitting on top of the fence, so we better let you climb down. Clive, thanks very much for your company. Live action coming up on the BBC, 2:30 this afternoon. We've got the second session. Michael Wasley trailing 7-1 to the spaceman Dominic Dale. He needs to come out and play with the abandon that took him past Ding Junhui in the first round. And Judd Trump leads 6-2 over Ryan Day, but remember the Welshman started this year up at 31 and he's closing in on a return to a place in the world's top 20. A lot at stake, as there always is here at the Crucible. It's the spiritual home of the sport, and it's turning out to be quite some climax to the season. One more edition of Snooker Live from us today. We'll see you later on tonight around about 6 o'clock. In the meantime, look forward to the live action. It's coming up at 2:30 on the BBC. Thanks for now.